Welcome back, everybody, from Stuck to Strong. Today's topic is all about plateauing. What do you do when the scale stops moving? Man, that's what we're going to talk about today. You work so hard to get here, you're losing the weight, some of it's coming off, and now all of a sudden you plateau. What do you do? How do you handle it? What's it do to you mentally? What's it do to you overall? That's what we're going to talk about on today's podcast as we go through and continue to fight for weight loss. And remember, as we talk about weight loss, it's all about mindset. It's all about things that we're changing our habits. We're changing our habits, our patterns. We're changing things about ourselves while giving us the tools to improve. And the tools being things like supplementing correctly that allows your body to perform at the peak in order for you to maximize your weight loss and for it to be long-term. Anybody can just do it for a short term and gain it all back. This guy has, and I know probably you have too, but that's not what this is all about. This is all about how do you handle the plateaus and get stronger and better throughout this whole thing. So let's summarize where you're at. You're eating better. Things are going well. You're walking a ton. Pounds are being shed. You're feeling momentum overall. And then, hey, the scale don't move. That sucks. So when that happens, there are certain things we all could do. And the first and foremost is acknowledge that you've done a good job to get to where you're at. Because if you're plateauing, it means you went downward and are losing weight. So success has happened. So many things can happen within our body. Get that mindset right. Don't sit there and just go, well, I'm doing everything and I did lose a pound. Well, what about all the pounds you already lost, right? So you've done something right to plateau, and you got to make sure you're saying, all right, I get it, I'm plateauing. Something in my body is going on that is making me plateau, and that's okay. And remember, a lot of these things comes in spurts. Sometimes the weight's just going to come off at 0.6 pounds in a week, or maybe not at all. And then all of a sudden, 2 weeks go by and you didn't lose anything and you plateaued. And then the third week, 4 pounds are gone. That's just how it goes. And I know it's a big dump or something that happens within your body. But the first thing you got to do is accept your success, because you are successful if you're plateauing. So if you are plateauing and staying there for more than a couple of weeks, there are a few things you can do to check, just to help yourself out a little bit to make sure you're on the right progress. And the first thing is intake. Calories in, calories out, right? Like we always talk about. Calories in, calories out. What's your intake? Check your food. Making sure you are staying at the portion size you originally meant to. Because sometimes what happens is our habits are we're going to keep grabbing food and eating it. And maybe we didn't have to measure it as much in the beginning because we were so big that we were burning it anyway. Now you lost weight. Maybe there's an intake issue. So check what you're eating and go back to the diet that's supposed to be working for you if you move. And another thing too is some people on this might be in like some sort of starvation mode and not really eating. I don't want you to do that. I want you to eat. My opinion is go keto, carnivore, and eat. And that is what's going to allow you to lose the weight, be effective. So if you are on something to where you are just not eating a lot, go to something where you can eat enough, because a lot of times if you're not eating a lot and you lose weight and plateau, now your body went to something that is called starvation mode, where it's really not burning effectively. So all that work you're doing isn't really paying off because you're eating not enough foods. I know it's crazy, but it's real. When you're not eating enough food, long term, that could be a problem for why you're plateauing for so long. And other things that work, and whether this is physical or just mental that helps it, I don't really know. But other things that work are really about varying how you do your calorie intake. Maybe to throw in intermittent fasting amongst what you eat. See if that helps, and that change may just get your body going. Another thing is maybe eat more one week and less the next. See if that type of variation of a calorie deficit and then over is going to get you stimulated if it's not working. So let's get this scenario, right? Let's say you're plateaued and you're 40 pounds down and you check your food intake. If your food intake has gone up, go back to where it was and your plateau should be over. If your food intake has always been low, increase it and see if your plateau's over. Now, if all of that has happened and it's about the same, That's when you look at intermittent fasting and or cycling through eating more 1 week, less 1 week, and do that for a little while, and just do something for your body to stimulate that change. And these things often allow your body to get through that plateau quicker, even though if you are plateauing, oftentimes it's going to go away on its own, is what I have found. But this is some things you can do just to make sure that, because we're impatient, all of us are. So these are some ideas of what you can do to get your body burning back faster. Now, originally, if you've listened to this whole podcast, I've talked about just walking when you start, just walk. So a lot of times when you plateau and you're just walking, that's a perfect time for you to start strength training. And if you start strength training, it gets exciting for your body because now it's going to start feeding it and building. And a lot of times what that does is allow you to eat a little bit more because you need it for your muscle build. But now also, since your muscles are building, you're burning more. And that strength training is a really good way to start to get over a plateau and now start burning more. You'll start to see the weight coming off a lot faster after maybe a slight increase because of the weight training, but it won't be much. And then you start to see more and more muscle. So if you're getting stronger and stronger and you see you're stronger, but say it's been 3 weeks and you haven't lost a pound, you have lost fat. All right. So that's a win. You got to be, just because the scale says you're not doing it doesn't mean you're not doing it, because that is the setting the baseline for what's next, meaning that once you build that muscle, all that's going to burn and burn and burn and burn. And the more you're going to burn and you keep your food intake the same, then you're going to start being in a calorie deficit. And then you're going to start losing that weight again, and it will shed off relatively quick in most instances. Other things too, like stress at work, check that. Be aware, because a lot of times what happens with stress is you're eating the things you shouldn't eat because stress is getting at you. And even if you are, you're not eating because of stress. People are both ways. For me, food was my answer. It's happy, stressed, excited. Didn't matter. Yeah, but everybody's different. Some people get stressed and don't eat. That could be the reason you're plateauing. Stress has a big impact on us. So try to make sure as you're going through weight loss, you're keeping your stress down. There are all kinds of avenues we can talk about. It's not part of this particular segment of what to do for stress, but keep your stress low and or be aware you are stressed so you understand that is impacting your weight loss. Another way of going about it is just switching up. Switch up your routine. Switch up what you do. Switch anything up. Maybe you are walking and you're walking for 20 minutes. Walk 40 minutes. Maybe you're walking for 40 minutes. Walk 50 minutes. Switch up a routine. Like I said before, add weights and weight training. Add just a little bit. So maybe you walk and come back and do 10 minutes of weight training or body weight training. Just change things up. That oftentimes is enough just to get you right over that hump. Let's get down to what's the real thing here. And the real thing comes down to, hey, you're on a weight loss journey, dude. It's hard. This is not something that's easy. And you can't look at it as easy, but you got to look at it as a journey. And the journey is about transforming yourself. It's not a fad. It's not a diet. It's transforming yourself overall. Now, I recently have just switched from keto to whole foods. Now, I've had a week or 3 weeks of nothing but visitors in South Florida. And I've had beer and foods I'm not supposed to eat. And I went through all that. And at the end of it all, I weighed the same. I didn't gain. I didn't lose. And then I went 1 week with another visitor here, and I lost 2 pounds, and I had switched to whole foods, but not all the way whole foods. There are some I've been adding more carbs because I've had some buns and breads that aren't whole foods or that I consider within the whole foods program. So, that's still working and my weight's still coming off. And my point to you is life's going to happen. Let's not let things like plateaus or other things get in our way of our journey towards what we want to live and how we want to live, because that's the change. You're not on a diet. Don't ever think that. You're on a life-changing transformation. And if you look at it that way, it's much simpler to stay positive through plateaus because this is a transformation and a journey, not a destination. It's a journey. We're on this together in order for us to get through it. And here's where logic versus emotion comes in. You're going to feel all these emotions, and these emotions are tough. They really are. But plateaus are part of the game. You're not just always going to keep going. You're going to plateau. Now, yes, take action, do things about it to make that plateau not happen. But a plateau isn't 1 week. It isn't 2 weeks. That's something I want to get through to everybody is a plateau is something that it's a month and you haven't lost weight is how I look at it. And then you got to switch some things up. Me, if I haven't lost weight in 2 weeks and I don't have a good explanation, I'm switching things up right away. You don't have to if you don't want to, because sometimes your body just needs that time. And the other part I want you to remember is you didn't come this far just to stop. You didn't. You've come this far to do a transformation, and that transformation is inside you. It's part of you. It's who you are. Now make this transformation a reality. So what I need from you right now is to make sure you're thinking about this as a journey, not just a destination. It's a journey. It's a journey of change and new habits and new patterns for yourself. And I'm going to leave and I'm going to talk about this thing. And it's an important thing you all need to hear, and maybe you should even write it down. What's the difference between the successful person what's the difference between a successful person losing weight and an unsuccessful person who didn't lose weight? And it comes down to the plateaus. And this is why our frustration when we first plateau is going to make us want to do everything in the world to give us a reason not to change and continue our transformation. Our heads are going to play games. We're going to say all these excuses because now we're plateauing and it's not working. And in your head, that's what you're going to say. But that's such bullshit. The real answer is plateaus are part of it. Let's not let the emotions grab us and not let us change. If we do that and we fail, it's because we allowed our emotions to keep us the same. And you have that choice. That choice is right within you, and it really is. But what you have to do is make sure you continue to pursue that change, that transformation. And only way you don't is give it up. It is that simple, and really, if you boil down everything we talk about, everything at all, everything, it comes down to one simple thing: consistency. Consistency of effort, consistency of focus. If you do that, that consistency is going to continue to pay off. It will pay off for you. That consistency will form new habits and new patterns that allow you to now have a transformed life rather than continue to stay with the old patterns of binge eating, continuous eating, be addicted to food, letting alcohol dictate our food intake, making decisions of what we eat based on our emotions and what we feel in the moment rather than how do we feed our bodies optimally. So remember, these are things and decisions we make all the time. I'm not saying you got to be perfect. Don't ever put those words right in my mouth. What I'm saying is 80-20, 90-10 is a great way to be. But when you are first starting, you want to be perfectly consistent, meaning those first 3 months are crucial. Don't cheat. Do everything you can in order to do that. Then you can allow some 90-10, 80-20 coming in your life and allow that actually, I think, sometimes help your plateaus, some of your big plateaus, especially if you're down 50 and you're plateauing. Sometimes a little of that can help get your body back moving and doing it. Like we talked about, maybe eating more 1 week or even a weekend or something like that. Anything to try and stimulate some change can really help you overcome that plateau. And I know that consistency isn't sexy. And I know that eating the same thing all the time in the same portions isn't sexy. But the key for you is simply this: consistency gets you the results and the change you need, not only for the body and losing weight, because we're not going for the perfect body. We're going for how you feel and improving how you feel. We're going for strength and muscles. We're going for all that stuff. And if you want to go for a perfect body, go ahead. But that is not what we've been talking about. We're talking about how we feel is more important, the energy we have, how we wake up, how our attitude, all those things are more important necessarily than having a perfect body, because you're just going to enjoy life a lot more. And if you want to just keep going, good on you, man. Keep going. And the thing about plateaus is there's not a lot more to talk about this. And I know that my podcast, this particular one, is going to be shorter than the rest, and I apologize for that. But there's not a lot other than what we've talked about to really dig into. Plateaus are simply part of the process, but yet something about the plateaus are so dangerous to our mind and our mental positions that we use it as an excuse to go back. Don't use it at all as an excuse to go back. Use it as a fundamental way to push through and go forward. My closing thoughts to you on all of this are this: plateaus are part of the game. This is all part of transformation. Do not let it change your goal. Don't let it change your transformation process. Don't let it be the reason you go back to the way you were. You have come this far. There's no reason to stop. And remember, just because you have a bad weekend and maybe you ate a lot out of frustration doesn't mean you can't go right back to eating correctly and doing it. And you shouldn't feel guilty. You're human. It happened. Now, if you let it happen all the time, the weight loss isn't going to happen. So I'm saying 80, 20, 90, 10. And I'm also saying those first 2, 3 months got to be really good. After that, that's when it's okay. Sometimes things are going to happen. You're out and it's really impossible to eat everything you're supposed to because you're out with people somewhere and you're like, all right, I'm going to do the best I can. And you do, and you don't worry about it. You just go forward. You move forward. That is the end part of plateauing is you move forward no matter what, and you just don't give up. You just keep pursuing. Thank you all so much for listening. This one's a short one. This is Big Dave from Stuck2Strong, and I want to see all of you in a much happier, healthier place. Talk soon.